There are times when the silence around you is not absence, it's preparation. Perhaps you felt this recently. An awkward pause. A separation that was not forced. A weariness that didn't come from the body, but from the soul. Not everyone notices when something bigger is moving, but some people feel it sooner. They feel it in their chest. They feel the weight of the decisions that need to be made without applause. If you've come across this video, it wasn't by chance. There is a very specific energy being activated right now, an energy that belongs to those who have learned to endure more than others can imagine. Capricorns are not made for immediate reactions. It's not meant for lengthy explanations. It's not meant to prove anything to anyone. If this message reached you, allow it to stay. Like the video and subscribe to remain connected to this space. Here, messages don't arrive by accident. They arrive when they are meant to. While many seek validation, Capricorn learns to support its own axis. And that's precisely why so many underestimate its powers. The world often mistakes silence for weakness, patience with passivity, self-control without emotion. But there is an invisible force building up when Capricorn observes in silence. A force that doesn't need to announce itself. A force that doesn't need to threaten. Everything you've experienced up to this point, the falls, the losses, the moments when no one was by your side, these were not punishments. They were filters. Few signs learn so early that not everything needs to be answered. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some victories only happen when you choose not to react. And while the world continues to underestimate this stance, Capricorn's true powers continue to grow in silence. This video isn't about proving anything. It's about recognizing what has always been there, even when nobody noticed. Because the most dangerous powers, they are precisely the ones that nobody sees coming. If this message resonated with you, let her stay. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay connected to this space. Here, messages don't arrive too early, not too late. They arrive when they need to arrive. Some people are born for ordinary paths, and there are those who seem to carry an invisible weight from an early age. Capricorn belongs to the second group. From the beginning, life has not been simple. Responsibilities arrived early, expectations too. While others were learning to ask for help, Capricorn was learning to fend for himself, and this didn't happen by chance. There's a reason why Capricorn is placed in positions where few can stay. One reason why comfort was never guaranteed. One reason why maturity arrived ahead of schedule. Some call it bad luck. Others call it a difficult fate. But the truth is different. Capricorn was chosen to carry what many could not bear. Not because it's colder, but because it is more resistant, more aware, better prepared to deal with long-term consequences. The universe does not entrust heavy tasks to frail spirits. Each challenge faced shaped something that cannot be learned from books: discernment, self-control, long-term vision. While many get lost reacting to the immediate, Capricorn learns to see what comes next. And that's exactly what makes his powers so underrated, because the world values those who shine quickly, but ignores those who build in silence. Capricorn doesn't need to be reminded of their mission. He feels it. You can sense when something is out of alignment. It senses when a cycle needs to end. It senses when it's time to retreat, not out of fear, but for strategic reasons. There is a silent intelligence guiding every step, a deep understanding that not everything should be forced. Some victories take time, and that true authority doesn't need to announce itself. You were never meant to go with the flow. You were made to support structures, and the sooner you understand this, it becomes clearer why so many people fail to understand who you are. Not all battles leave visible marks. Some things happen away from the eyes of others, in the thoughts you never verbalized, in decisions that needed to be made alone, in the silences that no one asked if they hurt. Capricorn knows this type of test well. While many relied on distractions, you learned to bear the weight of responsibility. While others had someone to turn to, you had to become your own support system. There were times when you realized you couldn't explain what you were feeling. Not because words failed, but because no one would understand the depth. Capricorn's loneliness is not an absence of people. It's the awareness that few can keep up with the same pace. You were underestimated when you chose silence. It was interpreted as him being distant when he was just processing it. He was judged for not reacting as expected. But each of these experiences was shaping something internal, something that cannot be built with applause, something that only comes into being when you learn to remain steadfast, even without guarantees. The invisible test wasn't designed to break you. It was made to strengthen you from within. Because those who go through life without needing to be seen, it develops a clarity that few possess. A clarity that allows one to perceive hidden intentions. A clarity that prevents impulsive decisions. A clarity that understands when it's time to move on, and when it's time to walk away. Many people don't know what you've been through because you never bothered to talk about it, and that's also part of his power. Capricorns learn early on that not all pain deserves an audience. Not every difficulty needs to be shared, and that true growth happens when no one is watching. That's why, when you finally take a stand, when you decide to move forward without looking back, people are surprised. They didn't see the preparation. They did not see the silent nights. They didn't see the difficult choices. They only see the result. And they call coldness what, in fact, it is maturity built in adversity. Not all power is perceived as something positive at first glance. Some powers do not calm, wake up, and Capricorn carries exactly that kind of energy. Have you ever noticed how some people change when they're around you? How can they become defensive for no apparent reason? Or how do they begin to compare themselves, compete, or justify attitudes that previously seemed natural? This doesn't happen by chance. The presence of Capricorn reveals what is unresolved in others, not through confrontation, but in contrast. His firm stance reveals a lack of direction. His silence highlights the excessive noise. His discipline highlights the disorganization of others. And not everyone is prepared to deal with that. Some people feel inspired, but there are also those who feel threatened, not because you do something against them, but because their existence reminds them of what they avoid confronting in themselves. Capricorns don't need to point out flaws. The simple way you uphold your boundaries already communicates enough. That's why so many people try to diminish what you represent. They try to label it as coldness, like rigidity, like emotional distance. But ultimately, it's an attempt to reduce the impact you cause effortlessly. You awaken responsibility in those who prefer to run away. It awakens maturity in those who still resist growing up. It awakens awareness in those who have become accustomed to living on autopilot. And that's annoying. The most underrated power of Capricorn is this: the ability to transform environments without needing to master any of them. Wherever you go, something falls into place. Wherever you stay, something rearranges itself. Wherever you go, something is revealed. Because its energy is not expansive, it is structural. She doesn't invade, she supports it. And those who cannot sustain their own base, he feels the weight of her presence as a threat. There is a specific moment in a Capricorn's life when nothing changes on the outside, but everything changes on the inside. It is not announced. It doesn't come with obvious signs. It doesn't cause euphoria. It is silent, like everything that is true. You start to realize that certain things simply don't have an effect anymore. Discussions that once drained your energy now seem distant. People who once demanded their attention no longer occupy space in their mind. And decisions that previously caused doubt are now being made with surprising clarity. This is the activation moment. It's not about achieving something external. That's when you stop needing. Capricorn doesn't wake up in an explosive way. It awakens when it understands that it doesn't need to prove anything, that doesn't need to be justified, that you don't need to convince anyone of your own worth. Things start to fall into place because you finally align with yourself. This is where your most underrated powers come into play. Patience ceases to be mere resistance. It becomes strategy. Silence ceases to be protection. It becomes a stance. Separation ceases to be a loss. It becomes liberation. The universe responds when you stop forcing it. When you stop insisting on paths that require too many explanations. When you understand that some doors only open after others have closed completely. This is the point at which Capricorn stops carrying the weight of the world on its shoulders and begins to choose where to step. You feel that something bigger is in motion, even if no one else notices, because the most important cycles don't make a sound when they end. They simply complement each other. And when that happens, What previously seemed like resistance becomes direction. Capricorns learn early on that reacting isn't always the same as being strong. Sometimes reacting is exactly what drains what was built with so much effort. There is a silent law that governs those who walk, with discipline and awareness. A law that requires no defense. He is not asking for confrontation. He doesn't ask for explanations. She simply acts. When you walk away without making a sound, when you choose silence instead of an impulsive response, when it stops competing with those who live in chaos. This law is now in motion. You don't have to retaliate in kind. There's no need to prove who's right. There's no need to demand justice. Because Capricorn wasn't made for managing small conflicts. It was made to support something bigger. While some expend energy trying to balance emotional accounts, you learn to trust time. And time, when combined with awareness, is relentless. Many mistake his attitude for indifference. But what you practice is something much rarer: self-regulation. You know that not every battle is worth fighting. Some people only learn when they face the consequences of their own choices. And life responds with surgical precision when you don't interfere. This is the I law that protects you. Everything returns to the point of origin. You move on, build, it aligns itself. And in silence, balance is restored. Not because you asked, but why you didn't need to ask. There's something that almost no one tells you, because almost no one notices. You carry more than you show, much more. People see his firm stance, your ability to move forward, your silent resistance, but they rarely acknowledge the effort this requires. Few understand the kind of tiredness that goes unnoticed. The burden of always being the one who supports. The loneliness that comes from not being able to fall apart when you'd like to. You learn to be strong not because you wanted to, but because he needed to. And even so, it remained fair. He remained loyal. He continued doing what needed to be done, even when nobody was looking. If at any point you felt you needed to step away, it wasn't coldness. It was emotional survival. If you chose silence, it wasn't indifference. It was self-respect. Capricorns don't abandon people on impulse. When you walk away, it's because he already tried to stay. He tried to understand. He tried to adjust. He tried to argue more than was reasonable. And there comes a point where continuing, it would mean losing oneself. This message is to remind you of something essential. You're not wrong for protecting yourself. You did not fail by choosing your own peace. You're not being harsh for setting boundaries. You are aware, and that comes at a price, but it also has a reward that few achieve. If no one has ever told you this before, listen now. You don't have to carry everything alone to prove your worth. Its value has always been there. Not every message is meant to offer comfort. Some arrive too alert. If you've listened to everything up to this point, it's because something inside you recognized that truth, even though I still don't know exactly what to do with it. Capricorns tend to notice changes before they become visible. You can sense when a cycle is coming to an end, when a silent decision needs to be made, when insisting means delaying the inevitable. What comes next requires no rush. It demands clarity. There will be subtle signs, people distancing themselves without explanation, situations losing momentum, paths that no longer make sense. Don't fight it. When Capricorn walks away, it's not an escape, it's alignment, and life responds when you stand with integrity. But here is a warning that should not be ignored. Not everyone is prepared for what is revealed after you let go. Some consequences move slowly, others silently, and almost always without warning. Observe, feel it. Trust what you already know, even if you can't explain it yet. Because that which is built in silence, there's no need to justify yourself once you start to express yourself. In the next video, we will reveal why Capricorn never seeks revenge, and why, even so, does it always happen. If this message reached you, let her stay. Pay attention. Not everything that's moving now, it needs to be seen to be real. If you want to stay where messages like this arrive at the right moment, stay connected to this channel. Like the video and subscribe, not for notifications, but for alignment. What comes next will make even more sense.